What is up, YouTube? I'm Gout874 here, bringing you our Week 1 game of the ABC. This week we take on Gravy, coach of the Yeoveltal Town FC. This is Week 1, so we are both 0-0, obviously. We're going to try to win this game to pick up our first win of the season. Before I forget, because I know I will forget, all the coaches are going to be in the description, as I forgot in the draft analysis. I couldn't find the thingy, like the links, but I found all the links, so they're going to be all down there. I highly recommend you go check some of them out. They're all really good. But anyway, we're going to go into our Week 1 game. To reiterate, we are facing off against Gravy. And the transaction I mentioned in my draft analysis, I did drop B-Barrel for Spiritomb, but that does not take effect until Week 2. So this week I cannot bring Spiritomb to this game. And my opponent has a Mega Alakazam, and Mega Alakazam does really, really good against my team. And this week you're going to see I make a really dumb move, and I bring Tapu Lele to the game with the Psychic Terrain, so I help out the Alakazam. So that was kind of a really bad move on my part, but you know, it was whatever. Mega Alakazam was going to bot me anyway. But right before I get into his team, I'm not sure if I'm going to be using the layout that Dr. Slacking is providing yet, but regardless, thank you to whoever made that, and Dr. Slacking for providing the GFX for this video for me. I highly appreciate it. But we're going to get into his team now. Gravy's team this week consists of Landorus, Therian, Mega Alakazam, Infernape, Hydreigon, Tentacruel, Jolteon, Doublade, Gramble, Regirock, Sawsbuck, Articuno, and Shelmet. I think his Z crystals were the Flyinium Z and the Poisonium Z. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he has got the Poisonium Z. I know the Flyinium Z was the first one, but anyway, what I expect him to bring consists of Lando T, Mega Alakazam, Infernape, Hydreigon, Jolteon, and Regirock. He could switch out Hydreigon for a few other things, but if he wants to have at least something to switch into Psychic, Hydreigon is his best bet, or Doublade, but yeah. But that's kind of what I'm generally set on. As I mentioned right in the beginning of the video, Mega Alakazam is easily the scariest thing on this team. If he did not have Mega Alakazam, I would think I have a huge advantage in this game. But because he has that, it's just really threatening. And he does have speed control because 150 speed is higher than my highest, which is Swallow, I think. Another thing that's really annoying is Regirock. While Regirock offensively isn't really a problem, well, Regirock's not hitting me hard, but I can't really hit it back because my main sweepers and Charizard can't really hit it too much. Swallow can't hit it too much. The only thing that can really hit it too much is Cobalion, and spoilers, I'm not bringing Cobalion this week, so Regirock could be a bit annoying. I just have to chip it down, and hopefully I can kill it that way. Another thing that's kind of annoying is Infernape. While I can offensively deal with it really well, a Scarf Infernape would be pretty annoying, and I can only switch into it with Mudsdale, which is going to be my only defensive switch in. And if Mudsdale goes down, then Infernape could be a bit of a problem. But everything else on his team isn't really too threatening. Lando T is going to be a little bit annoying trying to figure out what set it is. I think if he doesn't bring Regirock, he's going to bring a defensive Lando. But if he does bring Regirock, it's probably going to be offensive. But Lando T, once I figure out what set it is, I can deal with it accordingly. But luckily, Swallow and Mega Charizard X outside of Regirock hit his team really, really hard. And I'm going to break that down in my team builder in a bit. And lastly, Dhelmise has a really good matchup defensively this week, so hopefully I can use that to take advantage of. That is some pre-notes for the battle this week. The team I'm bringing this week consists of Mega Charizard X, Dhelmise, Swallow, Cryogonal, Mudsdale, and Tapu Lele. So the first one I am bringing, as I just mentioned, is Mega Charizard X. Mega Charizard X is holding the Charizard X, obviously. Max attack, 244 speed with the Jolly Nature, and the rest in bulk. Moves being Dragon Dance, Flare Blitz, Earthquake, and Roost. This set cannot touch Hydreigon, but I'm hoping he doesn't switch into Hydreigon, expecting that, because that would be a little bit weird, but in this case it wouldn't be that much. This runs house through his team outside of Regirock and a defensive Landorus. If it's offensive Landorus, I can still beat it pretty much if I already have a boost up. And if I have a boost up, I can kind of ram through his faster mons like Mega Alakazam, Jolteon, and Infernape. It beats his lower tiers down really hard. Like, all of his lower tiers, except for Regirock, just don't appreciate Mega Charizard. Well, again, Gramble, too. Gramble doesn't really mind them either. But it's just going to run house through his team. I just got to be careful of Hydreigon if he expects, like, if I show all 4 moves, because I don't have Dragon Claw on this thing, Hydreigon can just switch in on it. But outside of that, we're looking pretty good. That is the Mega Charizard X. It's probably going to be, like, a late game cleaner. That's kind of what I'm hoping to use it for, but it might not be. Next up, we have Dhelmise. Dhelmise is holding the leftovers with max HP, mixed defenses with an Impish Nature and 52 in speed. Moves being Anchor Shot, Shadow Claw, Rapid Spin, and Synthesis. I did not need the Grass type move because the Steel type stab gives me a way to hit Regirock, and that was really the only Grass weakness he had on his team, so the Steel type weakness is there. This stops Regirock basically. Gramble, Sawsbuck, Landorus is not Fly Z, but since he does have the Fly Z crystal, I do have to be really careful about that. and Tentacruel. That is the main reason Dhelmise is here for. I'm hoping I can trap something if he wants to like switch it and be a little cheeky and switch around a bit. So if I can trap something with Anchor Shot and just knock out Shadow Claw, it's pretty good. I did want to bring an offensive Dhelmise, but it felt like it was just a little too unnecessary because Infernape and Hydreigon both can offensively deal with Dhelmise quite easily. So I just strayed away from that and went the defensive route in the end. It does really good for against Mega Charizard X's switch-ins, and I think these two are going to have some really good synergy. That is the Dhelmise. Next up, we have the Swellow. Swellow is rocking out with max special attack, max speed with a modest nature, well, almost max speed. Moves being Boom Burst, Heat Wave, U-Turn, and Quick Attack. I originally had like Defog over Quick Attack, but I felt like it would be necessary if I had Mega Alakazam down to like 5% or something like that, as I am a especially offensive Swellow, so it won't be doing so much. But Boom Burst just goes ham on his team. Regirock, again, is only switching. If he does bring Regirock, which I'm fully expecting him to bring, it's going to be very pressured this matchup. And once Regirock goes down, I can just click Boom Burst and a bunch of things die. I am slower than Jolteon, so I definitely have to be careful of that. And I'm also slower than Alakazam, but both of them don't want to switch into Swellow. So I'm probably going to be getting a decent amount of kills with the Swellow if I can knock out that Regirock, and if I can get it in, because getting Swellow in is definitely not an easy task. But that is just Swellow. It just clicks Boom Burst at the time. Next up, we got Cryogonal. Cryogonal is rocking max HP, 200 speed with the Timid Nature, and 60 Inspit Def with the leftovers. Moves being Freeze Dry, Rapid Spin, Toxic, Recover. I want Ice Beam on the set, but I couldn't really fit it. I needed the Rapid Spin support for the Mega Charizard X because Mega Charizard X is very important, and I don't want to switch that in on rocks. But Ice Coverage is nice against this team. This is my main switch into Hydreigon. It is very reliable because Fire Blast, unless it specs, does under half. This Cryogonal is insanely bulky, and I love it. This also switches into Articuno because Articuno was looking kind of like a threat at this point when building, so I needed some switch in, and Cryogonal gives me that. And that's sort of what Cryogonal's here for, because and I can offensively beat Landorus and Hydreigon as well, so that's really cool. It's mainly here for Hydreigon, but I can definitely offensively beat a few of his mons with this as well. Freeze Dry is there to hit Tentacruel too. That was another thing. But that is going to be the Cryogonal. And then we have Mudsdale is our next mon, holding the leftovers at max HP, 156 with Def with the Careful Nature, 96 in defense, and 8 in speed. Moves being Stealth Rock, Earthquake, Toxic, and Roar. This is my main switch in to his Infernape. It's not the greatest if he's a special Infernape, since I am more of a mixed Mudsdale. I definitely gotta be a little bit careful with this Infernape. It's, a quote-unquote switch-in to Mega Alakazam. It isn't really a switch-in. I don't want to call it that because Mega Alakazam just hits so freaking hard. But it's just something. At least I'll have something for Mega Alakazam in that sense. It switches into Doublade, and it switches into Regirock. And this would let me get my rocks up, and that would force him to defog on something like Hydreigon or Lando T. His defoggers aren't the greatest, so luckily I can just get rocks up, and I'll force something to defog. But that's mainly Mudsdale here for, it's mainly here for Infernape and the Doublade and Regirock. Oh, and it switches into Jolteon too, because I'm especially defensive. Unless it's like Specs Jolteon, then I'm going to be pretty fine. But that is Mudsdale. And lastly, we have Tapu Lele. Tapu Lele is rocking a Choice Scarf at max special attack, 224 speed with the Timid Nature. Moves being Psychic, Moonblast, Shadow Ball, and Light Screen. Shadow Ball is mainly there just for the Doublade. Clicking Psychic 9 times out of 10, if not Moonblast, because Hydreigon. And this is here to kind of beat out his Mega Alakazam, because this Mega Alakazam can two-shot me, but I am faster, and that would let me get off a hit first. And if I can get a hit off on Mega Alakazam, that would be absolutely huge, because a lot of my things can take a hit from Mega Alakazam, they just can't switch in on it and take 2 hits. So if I can get into Tapu Lele can take 2 Psychics from Mega Alakazam, even with the terrain, I think. But that's hopefully what hopefully Tapu Lele can just chip down the Alakazam enough to where I can revenge it with, like, I don't know, Swellow Quick Attack or something, like Cryogonal or something. I don't know. That's mainly what Tapu Lele is here for. That is going to be our team. I'm not really feeling great with Tapu Lele here, but it was just better overall in the end because it just hits his team so freaking hard that I just thought it would be helpful. I'll just go a little more offensive. But that is our team. We're going to head over to Showdown and watch the battle. Alright, we're here in the battle, and he did not bring the Jolteon, but he did bring the Sawsbuck, which really threw me off guard that he brought the Sawsbuck, because most of my team does do pretty good against it. But anyway, I'm going to lead off with Tapu Lele, because if he leads off with Alakazam, I would be kind of screwed if I didn't lead with Lele. And Lele's Scarf, so at least I can scout out a bit. So he's going to lead off with Infernape, and this turn I decide I'm going to switch out turn 1 to scout if this Infernape is Scarf, because that is definitely something I could see him bringing. As he does click U-turn, I could have just stayed in there because I can tank a U-turn, obviously. But he is going to go out into Hydreigon, and I thought he was going to go out the Solids book, but I'm glad he did. So here I can switch out into Cryogonal to scout out what type of Hydreigon this is going to be, because Cryogonal can take a lot of hits. And this damage from Dark Pulse shows that this is actually more of a defensive Hydreigon. He's not a boosting item. I don't think he's even full special attack, to be honest. So here I decided to go for Toxic because predicting that Infernape to come in, I could at least get the thing on a timer, that or Regirock. And luckily I get to play right as he goes into Infernape. I can go to Mudsdale again, as I'm assuming he's just going to click U-turn to predict that, as he does. And he's going to go into Hydreigon, and now knowing that he is more of a defensive Hydreigon, I can just click Rocks on this thing and tank a hit from it, because I am a pretty specially bulky Mudsdale. But he is carrying the Taunt, and that basically proves he's defensive, even after the EV spread. But I can't get Rocks up, which really does suck, because I can't touch this thing otherwise, so I do have to switch out into Cryogonal now, as he is going to click Dark Pulse, and it's not going to do much. I'm not at a range of health where I should just click Recover since I still have the leftovers, so I'm just going to click Freeze Dry and try and get some chip damage on this Hydreigon, but he goes back out into Infernape, and that is quite fine with me. A little more chip on this Infernape means it is going to be worn down pretty quick with the Freeze Dry damage and the Toxic damage that is going to start to rack up. As I'm just going to go into Mudsdale, it's proving to be a good switch-in, as he does predict and go for the Grass Knot. It does a decent chunk of damage, but luckily I am going to be able to live the next one if he wants to stay in and try and kill himself off with Toxic. But he's going to switch back out, making the smart move, as this time I get my Rocks up, predicting him to switch out. Now the Rocks are up, and if this Hydreigon has Defog, he's going to show it right now. As I'm just going to go into the Cryogonal, it's my best switch into this thing. I don't think this thing has Fire Blast. As he clicks Dark Pulse again. And now at this point, I'm going to click Recover, because I do want to have this as a switch-in still to like Hydreigon later on if he ends up getting Rocks up on this Regirock, because he does come in. As now, I'm going to go into my other wall that I haven't shown yet, which is Dhelmise. Dhelmise deals with the Regirock pretty well, as he does pull a double into Alakazam. Now, I can stay in here because I'm at full. I can guarantee to live any hit from this Alakazam, as I'm going to just fire off a Shadow Claw. He does make the nice read in the Solids book, but that is fine, because I can wall the Solids book for days, unless he busts out a Flying EMC bounce. This caught me by surprise. I forgot that this thing even got bounce, and I fire off an Anchor Shot. Does a lot of damage to the Solids book. Luckily, this thing can't kill me next turn, but it was just a really, really good bring on Gravy's part to bring this bounce Solids book, as I'm going to recover up here. I could switch out for something else to take the bounce, but I don't want to get paralyzed on like anything else really, as I'm going to take a decent chunk of damage, and you'll see here I do end up getting paralyzed, so switching would have been the bad play overall probably, as I'm just going to keep firing off Synthesis. This time I'm going to have to take another bounce, as he is just going to fire it off. I go for Anchor Shot. Obviously he's going to miss, but I'm just going to click Anchor Shot next turn. Hopefully I don't get paralyzed that turn. He can't switch out, so this Solids book is going to die regardless, as it does a decent amount of damage to me. But I do not get paralyzed, and I get the Anchor Shot off, and this Solids book goes down. This Solids book put a lot in work, considering that my Dhelmise was supposed to wall it really effectively. Here goes the Lando T. Lando T is not Z move, so I'm thinking, I'm not sure what the set's going to be, so I'm just going to Mudsdale. Hopefully he clicks Knockoff, and it just does so much damage. This is definitely an offensive Landorus. He has the Life Orb, which proves that he's offensive, and he's just going for Knockoff. He's going to knock me out again. Take some more Life Orb damage, that's fine. My switch into Infernape kind of sucks, but he can't really switch in Infernape either, so that's kind of cool. Here I can go to Tapu Lele and click Psychic. I don't think he's going to go into Hydreigon, as luckily he does not, and he goes into Regirock. I do about 40% to it, and I do get a Death Drop. I did learn after the battle he was Assault Vest, but I don't think it's really going to matter too much. I'm not sure what the roles were, but I don't think it's going to matter in the end. As now he's going to go into Infernape. At this point, I'm positive this thing is Scarf, as I'm going to go back out into Dhelmise. And he is just going to click the Flare Blitz, and I'm going to sack off the Dhelmise because of that reason. I don't want the Dhelmise Paralysis to come bite me back, so I just decided to sack there, as this Infernape is really, really low. And at this point, I can go into Charizard, and this turn was kind of wild, because he goes into Hydreigon, as I'm going to Mega Evolve in DD, assuming he is Scarf. And at this point, I'm like 90% sure he's Scarf. And spoilers, he is Scarf. But I set up a Dragon Dance, but I don't have Dragon Claw on this thing, so I had to switch out, as he does fire off the Dragon Pulse. That... It sucks, but in the sense that he after the battle I learned his sets, and he had the Bond Berry, which weakens Dragon type moves. So in the end, that really didn't matter too much. So I'm going to Cryogonal. It's the best switch into Hydreigon, and I'm just going to fire off a Freeze Dry. Infernape can't switch in on it, as he goes into Alakazam. And at this point, I'm thinking Tapu Lele is probably going to win this game as long as this Alakazam doesn't have Calm Mind. And you just see here he busts out the Calm Mind. Excuse me. I fire off another Freeze Dry. It doesn't a little bit of chunk. He's down to 47%. Hopefully this thing has Psychic over Psyshock, but he's got Psyshock. And that really sucks because my Cryogonal's never living that. I don't think he probably could even live a Psychic, but Tapu Lele is going to come out. I have Shadow Ball. It's a 37.5% chance to knock him out. And I don't get the roll. Actually, I get almost the lowest roll possible. As this thing's going to knock me out with Shadow Ball. And this Alakazam, like I said in Team Preview, is a big problem. I can live a side shot guaranteed from this Alakazam. I could have Dragon Danced up, but it would not have mattered in the end because he could just come in with Scarf and Fernape after and knock me out. And this Alakazam is going to go down. And he's going to go into Landers here. And I'm switching into Swellow. Hopefully he goes for Earthquake. And I can possibly bring this back with Boom Burst. As he's going to... And I have a chance to live this knockoff. And I die. So he's adamant. So the roll is highly in his favor. I think it was a roll, but it was in his favor. So it's whatever. At this point, I just lost the battle. I'm just going to click Flare Blitz to just cement some differential. I get a crit, doesn't matter. And we are going to lose 2-0 to Gravy. GG to Gravy. This game is definitely one of those losses where I think it came down to prep rather than the battling, because I know my battling skills aren't the greatest comparatively to my prep, but I definitely do think Gray out-prepped me a bit in this game when it came to like Haban, Berry, Hydreigon, and he was ready for Dragon Claw and Charizard, or the Life Orb on Landers. That's a really good bring. Z Pounce was really fire, and the Calm Mind on Alakazam was a really good bring as well. So all those prepping tools that did really good against me, he brought, and big props to Gray for that. GG again to Gray. Make sure to go check out his channel in the description below. He's a very respectable person, as I learned after the battle. He was really fun to talk to. But that is it for this week. Next week we face off against Blue Phoenix, coach of the New Jersey Blue Phoenixes, hashtag Awesome State. And he's got a Kieran Black, so hopefully we can beat the Kieran Black down. But thank you all for watching. If you like this video, please leave a like. If you like Pokemon Draft League content, consider subscribing to the channel. That's all I got for you guys. I'm going to head out of here. Have a fantastic day, YouTube.